Okay, so if you've been basically holding your breath since that season 2 cliffhanger, wondering how Gi-hun's story would finally wrap up, or, if the games could possibly get even more brutal. Well, Squid Game season 3, it gave us some pretty shocking answers. I know I had
Oh,
questions.
absolutely. The hype around this season was just huge, and yeah, for good reason. So think of this deep dive as your kind of shortcut to understanding all those complex twists, the fates of the characters, some
Yep.
really surprising, and the deeper themes that played out. We've gone through, well, a whole stack of sources, official stuff, fan theories, all of it. And our goal today is really to boil down the key insights, give you those aha moments, and leave you feeling like you really get it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not just what happened, right?
Mhm.
It's digging into why it matters for the whole message of the series. And this season, wow, it threw some serious curveballs. So let's dive in and unpack what just happened in Squid Game season 3.
Right. And to really get season three's intensity, we have to rewind just a bit, back to Gi-hun. End of season one, remember, he'd won. Player 456. Heading to the airport, supposed to see his daughter.
But then he sees that recruitment game again, the Dokji, and everything changes. He just turns away from the plane, decides he has to confront the people behind it all.
Yeah, that decision really drove him through season two. We saw him, 2 years later, still looking for the recruiter. That whole search led to that intense Russian roulette game where the recruiter actually dies.
And after that, he faces the front man directly, and then makes that huge, frankly, kind of shocking decision to go back into the games. But this time, his goal was to stop them from the inside. Such a bold move, maybe reckless.
Definitely bold, but his journey in season three, it was anything but straightforward. That rebellion he started in season two, it looked promising for a minute, but ultimately it failed badly. Most of the rebels he gathered, executed brutally. Only Cho Hin-ju and Kang Dae-ho survived that initial wave.
And that failure just crushed Gi-hun, didn't it? It seemed to lead him straight to blaming Daeho, which really set the stage for a much darker turn for him.
It really did. This change in Gi-hun is, yeah, one of the most disturbing parts of season three. Seeing him go to such a dark place,
Yeah,
what do you think really pushed him over the edge there? How did it change him?
that's the big question, isn't it? I think it was the sheer weight of it all, the guilt over the failed rebellion, the constant psychological torture of the games. It just broke something in him. We see him become much more vengeful, almost broken, really.
Yeah, and that plays out in the hide-and-seek game. His pursuit of Daeho wasn't just strategic, like you said. It felt personal, and it leads to Gi-hun intentionally strangling Daeho, killing him.
Which is huge, because Daeho is the only person Gi-hun deliberately kills in the whole series, right?
Exactly. It's a shocking moment. Shows just how far gone he was.
Right.
And then the suicide attempt right after,
Mhm.
stopped by the guards, but it shows the absolute toll. He was pushed right to the brink.
A really powerful way to show how broken he'd become. And that descent happened against the backdrop of these terrifying new games in season 3. Each one just felt designed to push people even further.
And they were inventive, weren't they? The new games. What were the ones that really stood out for you this season?
Oh, definitely. First, hide and seek. But, like you said, not the kid version. This one had armed taggers hunting people down. Hiders had to find keys, unlock exits. It was terrifying. And you had players like Yang and Namgyu acting as taggers, but they were killing strategically, beyond just the game rules. The whole psychological aspect of being hunted, intense.
Yeah, intense is the word. Then there was jump rope. Crossing that giant bridge, trying to time it perfectly to avoid that massive swinging rope. Looked simple, but deadly.
Terrifying precision needed. And the final one, Sky Squid Game. Just brutal. Pushing opponents off high platforms, it really ramped up the tension for the finale. You just kept thinking, what else can they possibly come up with?
Exactly. I remember watching hide and seek and thinking, Nick, this is not the game I played. Twisting familiar things into something horrifying. And these new games, they really brought different characters into focus or shed new sides to existing ones, like Myungi, player 333, the ex-YouTuber, MG Coin, Junhee's ex. He becomes this really compelling and awful antagonist.
His change was striking. Started off just trying to survive, maybe a bit shady. But
Mm.
by season 3, his self-interest just goes off the charts. His alliance with Namgyu.
And then killing Hyunju while she was protecting Junhee and the baby, no less.
Horrible. And in that final game, Sky Squid Game, he gets so manipulative, reveals he's the baby's father, tries to kill the baby and Gi-hun just for the money. Total greed.
Which, of course, leads to his own death. He really showed how the games just corrode people.
Definitely. Then there's Kim Junhee, player 222, Yoongi's pregnant ex. She seems so vulnerable, obviously, but she was surprisingly resourceful, agile even.
Yeah, and what was interesting was how protective everyone became of her. Gi-hun, even the front man, weirdly,
Yeah.
because of the pregnancy.
Right.
And the baby being born during hide and seek.
Yeah.
It missed all that violence. So jarring.
Absolutely. And then her sacrifice in the jump rope game, giving her life so the baby survives, which leads to the baby officially becoming player 222. Just wow.
And Jang Gyungja, player 149, Young-sik's mother, a Korean War survivor. She came in just to pay off her son's debts. But her devotion leads to that shocking moment where she stabs her own son to stop him from killing Junhee.
Unbelievable. And then the guilt being ignored in the vote to end the games, she takes her own life. But before she does, she pleads with Gi-hun, right, to protect Junhee and the baby, shows the impossible choices.
Truly devastating choices. And we also had Cho Hyun-ju, player 120, former Special Forces sergeant, a transgender woman, entered the games for gender-affirming surgery funds, lost her job, friends.
Her military skills were key for Gi-hun's rebellion attempt, though, training people with stolen weapons, but her death was so tragic. Killed by Myung-gi, protecting Junhee and the newborn.
Yeah, the creator mentioned she represented marginalized groups, kind of like Ali in season 1,
Right.
raising awareness about those struggles.
Her story, like so many, just highlights the individual battles within this whole nightmare. But beyond the players, this season also gave us a deeper look behind the curtain, didn't it, at the people running the show?
It really did. We got more insight into the overseers, the investigators, the whole machine. The front man, Hwang In-ho, still absolutely central. We got reminded, season 1 reveal, Jin-ho's missing brother, past winner, took over hosting after old Mano Il-nam died.
And in season 2, he went undercover, right? As player 001, manipulating things from inside, cast the deciding vote to keep the games going.
Yeah, and then his huge betrayal of Gi-hun's rebellion. Killing players, faking his own death, executing Jung-bae right in front of Gi-hun. Cold. What's really interesting in season 3, though, is him propositioning Gi-hun, telling him to kill the others so he and the baby can survive.
Gi-hun refuses, obviously, but later, In-ho seems genuinely affected by Gi-hun's final sacrifice. He actually rescues the baby himself. It's a small crack, maybe, in that hardened
A
exterior.
subtle shift, yeah. And meanwhile, his brother, Kwang Jun-ho, the detective, still relentless. He survived that cliff fall in season 1 somehow. Spent 2 years looking for the island. How did he finally make progress in season 3?
Well, he teamed up with Gi-hun's mercenary contacts and that loan shark, Choi Woo-sika. But here's the twist. Captain Park, the fisherman who supposedly saved Jun-ho,
Yeah.
turns out he was working for the front man the whole time, sabotaging them, killed their drone guy.
No way. Wow. So Jun-ho.
Confronts him, wounds him mortally. Park confesses, which just makes Jun-ho even more determined to find his brother. Despite all that, he does manage to rescue Young-suk in the end.
What a betrayal. You just don't know who to trust. And speaking of complex loyalties, Kang No-il, Guard 011, former soldier, North Korean defector, joined as a pink soldier in season 2 to find her daughter.
Right, and she had this moral compass, even as a guard. Interfering with the organ harvesting by double-tapping players, ending their suffering. Which of her actions really summed up that internal conflict for you? Survival versus doing what's right.
Oh, that's a good one. Because she really shows that maybe, just maybe, some good can exist even in that corrupt system. I think it was when she deliberately shot Gyang-sik non-fatally, player 246, pretended she was cooperating, but it was just to get into the operating room.
Where she then killed the traffickers and forced the doctor to save him.
Exactly. It was risky, definitely morally gray, but it saved his life. Shows her commitment, her belief in life, maybe driven by finding her own daughter.
It really does. And it makes you wonder, how much good can actually survive in that kind of environment. Later, she confronts the masked officer, burns all the records about Gyang-suk, tries to kill herself.
But is saved by the frontman's actions, interestingly. And 6 months later, she's heading to China, still hoping her daughter's alive. Her journey is all about those impossible choices.
Which really leads us to the core theme of season 3, doesn't it? And Gi-hun's final act. The climax. Sky Squid Game. Only Myung-gi, Gi-hun, and the baby are left. And Myung-gi is just consumed by greed. Tries to kill the baby for the prize money. Thinks that's his winning move.
Which sets up Gi-hun's defining moment, his ultimate sacrifice. Myung-gi falls to his death before the game even officially starts, actually. Gi-hun makes sure the baby is safe, presses the button to start the game, and then immediately jumps off the platform himself.
Sacrificing himself, and his last words, left unfinished. Humans are.
Yeah, humans are. It's not just unfinished, is it? It feels like the show's challenge directly to us, to you listening. It forces you to face that uncomfortable truth, even in total despair, total corruption.
Yeah.
Humanity is this paradox. capable of the worst cruelty, but also incredible selflessness, often in the same person.
The director